After prayer, we will be doing a moment of silence for Councilman Warple's son and Councilwoman Vanessa's husband, Phil. Father God, in the name of Jesus, Lord God, we come again and say thank you, Lord. Lord God, I'm just asking that you continue to cover each and every one of us. Lord, cover each and every grieving heart for those that have lost people, Lord. Continue to keep them in this time of their need. Continue to cover our city as we continue to go about and do your business. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you.
Okay, roll call.
Alexander,
Present.
Spitelli,
Here.
Benez, Kelwinski, Salinas,
Here.
Tyler,
Here.
Emerson,
Here.
Warple, Rakos.
Here. We have 6 present, 7 present in chambers, 1 electronic, and 1 absent. Next up, nomination of officers.
Mr. President,
Councilman Kowinski.
I'd like to nominate Scott Rakos for president and Barry Tyler for vice president.
Second.
Thank you. You accept, Councilman?
Yes.
I also accept. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Next up, mayor's address.
Hi. First off, congratulations to Councilman Rakos and to Councilman Tyler on your elected positions. Congratulations. Congratulations also to Al Salinas, our new councilman in the 2nd District. Looking forward to working with you, Councilman Salinas. I also wanted to start off with condolences. It's a real tough start to 2024 for the Hammond Council. Obviously, we started off 2024 with the loss of Phil Vanez, the husband of Councilwoman Janet Vanez. We really miss Phil. I've known Phil for 25 years, going to miss him a lot. And also, just yesterday, hearing that Councilman Warple's son, Jimmy, passed away overnight was really devastating as well. So I want to send condolences to Councilman Dave Warple of the 5th District and his wife Tina over the loss of their son Jimmy. Really tough start to the year for the Hammond Council, so I'm really sorry. I know you guys are all grieving. So, Mayor's activity log. Started off the last 2 weeks getting sworn into my 6th term by Judge Marissa McDermott. We turned in the paperwork legally. I also attended Councilman Warple's swearing in, also by Judge Marissa McDermott. I imagine Councilman Warple turned in his paperwork as well. Attended internal meeting regarding the haunted house TIF, which is, I know, on the agenda for tonight. I met with the attorneys and my economic development team. I'm willing to talk about that if you have any questions. Attended the Hammond Water Department holiday party, spoke to the employees of the Water Department's business office, and gave them good news for in regards to a reorganization we're doing at the Hammond Water Department in the business office. Swore in officers from the Hessville Democratic Club. Thank you very much for inviting me to that. Did WJOB radio for 1 hour with Mr. Dabberton shortly before Christmas, discussed city business. Swore in new police officers. I'm going to talk about police department in a few minutes. Met with architects regarding possible future designs of the pavilion. Nothing we've committed to at this point, just taking a look at some options in regards to the PAV that we would have down the road. I personally swore in Councilman Barry Tyler of the Hammond 3rd District, Councilman Bill Emerson of Hammond's 4th District, Councilman Scott Rakos of our 6th District, our council president, on New Year's Day. Congratulations to them. They had a very nice ceremony at the Sportsplex. It was well put together. I want to thank the park staff and everybody for showing up. Councilwoman Katrina Alexander was sworn in that day as well by Representative, excuse me. Yeah, Representative Jackson. I'm totally blank. I apologize. Attended meetings with police captains and the chiefs. Attended meeting with my economic development team regarding a complaint from downtown Hammond in regards to the prolonged road project. I met with the U.S. Department of Transportation Deputy Assistant Secretary Evan Wessel in regards to a federal grant that we've applied for in regards to EV charging stations across the Hammond for multiple locations. We're hoping that that meeting will help our grant application. Spoke on behalf of our friend Phil Venez at his funeral service. It was very somber. Met with members of the Hammond Sanitary District Board. Presented to them Mylan Krasinski, who is the CEO of the Hammond Port Authority, and asked the board to confirm Mylan as the next CEO of the Hammond Sanitary District. So we should be dealing with that in the next couple days. I want to talk a little bit about police department, some things that have been happening recently, some problems that we've had, and some changes that we've had to do because of these problems. As you'll all remember, 4 years ago, we negotiated a contract with the Hammond FOP, where the FOP asked for 0% pay raises for 4 years in regards to changes on our pension. We agreed 4 years ago to the 0% pay raises. We nicely added 2 1% pay raises to the end of the contract, and we made the pension changes as requested by the FOP. Nobody could have anticipated 4 years ago that we'd be heading into a global pandemic and that the prices would skyrocket, including salaries. So what that's done, because we had a 0011 built into our contract, our starting pay for Hammond police officers became uncompetitive. And what we began to see is when we would have 10 open police department spots 10, 15 years ago, we'd have 250 people apply for those 10 spots. Now, because of our starting pay problems that we had, past tense, we would put out 10 open spots for the Hammond Police Department, and we'd have 20 people instead of 250 people. It would literally fighting tooth and nail to get everybody to apply. And just because you apply for a spot in the Hammond Police Department doesn't mean you get a spot in the Hammond Police Department, because you have to pass background, physical, psych, and a high percentage of people that apply to be officers are washed out in the process. So if we even had 20 people apply, that doesn't mean that you'll even get 2 or 3 officers out of that group. So we had a real problem. We started in 2023 realizing that if I stuck to the contract, that we would be uncompetitive and we would not be able to get new Hammond police officers. I didn't want to tinker with the contract out of the 4-year contract, but I did, only because we needed to be competitive for our new officers, and we have been. So we raised the starting pay without negotiating with the FOP of our Hammond police officers from the high 40s to the mid 50s. And that's where it stands right now, and it did help us when we post open jobs in the Hammond Police Department. We do have fairly significant number of people still applying. However, current police staffing is, in our budget, 235 officers. Actual on the street, about 170 something. 60 or so officers are in flux right now, transitioning out of the Hammond Police Department, getting ready to transition into a retirement, which means that we're in the process of finding new police officers to take their place. So in our budget this year that we all approved, we built in 230-something police officers, which is the highest staffing level we've ever had in the Hammond Police Department. But that doesn't mean those 230 are on the street. They're transitioning out, new people are transitioning in, we have to send them to the academy, we have to get them trained on the streets. This is gonna take a while. So this year, our staffing level is as high as we'll ever see it again. We're also negotiating a new contract with the Hammond FOP this year. And in 2024, we ran into another problem, which is we're starting to lose officers with seniority. 4, 5, 6, 7-year officers are quitting and going to other departments. Why? They can make $10,000 more by leaving the Hammond Police Department and go to work in a place like Dyer or Crown Point, a quiet little town that's offering more for their police officers than we are. So again, we have 1 more year left in our contract. We have a choice. We could sit back for a year and do nothing and watch our officers leave us, or we could try to make changes. Now, we're gonna have to make these changes eventually anyway. I decided to pull the trigger. I'm reporting to the Hammond Council. We eliminated 2 pay levels and combined them with corporals. Basically, there's no more 3rd-class police officer, no more 2nd-class police officer. There's only a probationary officer, and then you jump to corporal. And you could be a corporal for about 10 years. There used to be probationary, 3rd class, 2nd class, 1st class, corporal. Now it's probationary, corporal. What we did was gave 51 police officers a pay raise immediately, fairly significant pay raise, and these are all officers with less than 10 years on the street. Officers that didn't get taken care of in the last contract, quite frankly. They got fairly significant pay raises, 5 to 10%. It was a bigger raise for officers that were 3rd class, because they jumped from 55 to 63, whereas the second class jumped from 60 to 63. 63,867 is the new level for corporal. 60 officers are going to be impacted by this. It puts our pay for corporal in a very competitive place, which means we should stop hemorrhaging officers with less than 10 years' experience. These are not fun decisions we're having to make, but if we don't make these decisions, we're literally going to bleed all the officers that we work so hard to bring into the Hammond Police Department. I'm reporting to you all, I'm not thrilled about it. Normally, we would go through a process with the FOP and we'd negotiate and we'd get concessions. If we did that, it would never get done and we'd lose officers over the next year. I did this. I do have to negotiate with the FOP for a new 4-year deal this year, and I will be talking about the stuff that we've already done voluntarily. The FOP didn't give up anything. I know that's not lovely. I apologize to you all, but the alternative was do nothing for the next year and lose officers. I'm transparent. I try to be as transparent as possible as mayor. I just wanted you all to know that happened. I'll take responsibility from it if you don't like it, and I'm willing to answer any questions if you have it.
So how much does this make in the way of an increase to the budget for the police department?
It doesn't, Councilman Mark. That's if we do mid raises. First off, a couple things, okay? The budget is 235 officers this year, which is as large as we'll ever see the Hammond Police Department budget, okay? That's way more officers than we've ever had. The whole purpose was to absorb. The budget won't be changed at all from the police department budget that you approved won't be changed a bit, okay? Did that answer your question? Any other questions about this? Yeah, Council.
Mayor, I think at one point last year, either your administration or the police department administration was looking into doing some type of report generating like a salary comparison to cities in similar size to Hammond or even just like in Northwest Indiana. I don't know if I don't believe I've seen that. Is that something that did occur? If
Yes,
so,
we did.
Okay, can you share that with us?
It's a
possible?
huge database. It's not like one
Okay.
report. It's literally hundreds of pages, it's a database. That's the
Okay.
best way to describe it. It's not even something that's easily printed out. It's something that's available to us in negotiation. If the FOP says, hey, a Valpo police officer has this, this, and this, and then I could instantly pull up what a Valpo police officer has available to them, including if they have a union contract, what type of health benefits. It's comprehensive, but it's not a printed paper. It's a database, basically, that was assembled. I mean, I could work with you if you want to work and try to get you some information out of that database, Councilman, but
Yeah,
I don't have a printed copy of it. It's so big.
Got it. Yeah, I just wonder if there's some type of summary that we might be able to see to take a look at.
It happened.
Okay.
It cost us a couple bucks. It's going to be available for us in our negotiation, which is vital. Because sometimes in negotiation, we get things thrown at us. Well, in Highland, they do this, Mayor. It's like, well, if you want what a Highland officer gets, this is all what they get. That's the type of info we have. So I don't know if I can give that. I mean, I'm willing to give you whatever you need, Councilman. So
Okay.
if you can give me like some type of idea, I'm willing to work with you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right, thanks.
Anyway, so that's PD. I apologize if you feel blindsided by this, but I have the police chiefs in my office worried to death constantly about the number of officers that are leaving our force. And we got to start. If I wait one more year, we'll probably lose 10, 15 officers, realistically. They're leaving. We had 3 leave a couple weeks ago. 3 young officers leaving us. So, 20 years ago when I first became your mayor, officers stayed on the force. If they were hired by Hammond, they retired in Hammond. That's just not like that anymore. The officers are shopping. They're looking for the best deal. So I know you have ARP third and final coming to you today. I want to point out, going through all the different projects that are adjusted with ARP, I know you guys have talked about them, over $1.1 million going back to capital improvement once this is approved. I think that's a good thing for capital improvement. I know that you have also on the agenda an adjustment to a TIF district, the Gateways allocation area south of 8094. We're calling it the Haunted House Project. There's a few bullet points on that project I want to talk about. I know it was in the paper shortly before Christmas that the city is looking to acquire all the land south of 8094, west of Calumet Avenue. It's better known, in the Haunted House, the Reaper's Realm Haunted House, the fireworks stand. We want to do something like we did with Oxbow. Interesting fact, talking a lot with the 4th District Councilman about his frustration with the 4th District and a lack of a sit-down restaurant. When Councilman Emerson first told me his district does not have a sit-down restaurant, I said, Bill, you've got to be wrong. He's not wrong. There's no sit-down restaurant in the 4th District with table service. You know, you can count the hot dog place, but quite frankly, table service. And I think that we should be striving to do better with a marketable piece of property like the former Reaper's Well is very marketable. If you see what we did at Oxbow, we spent $14 million at Oxbow, and it's worth $60 or $70 million now. There's no doubt in my mind that if we were given control of this property, we could turn it into a very, very marketable piece of property, paying taxes, supplying jobs to the residents of Hammond. I think it's easy to say we could put a couple restaurants there and probably an office building or a hotel. It's a big piece of property. It's 15 total acres, great potential for development. Economic development team's already receiving inquiries about the area after the article appeared in the paper. And it's important to plan ahead and expand the allocation area to capture this new increment. That'll give us tools down the road. This investment, if we get $30, $40 million of new investment into this property, we could use that increment down the road to help do other projects around that allocation area. I know that there's people affected by this. Anytime we use eminent domain, it's a serious thing. You know, and I know the Haluska family well. They're nice, very nice people. I've been mayor for 20 years. It's a great family. Sometimes as mayor, you got to put on your mayor hat and do what's right for the city. And quite frankly, this is a marketable piece of property. I wish I was dealing directly with the Haluska family. I do, because it's a great family. And if the city of Hammond's going to pay money, I would rather pay it to that family, because this is the family that's been running the property. However, if that family doesn't have control of the property, I can't help that. Our job is to work with the landowner and give them fair market value for that property, and that's what we're doing. The whole purpose I'm doing this is to make our city stronger. And we're going to end up with something in the 4th District. Think about it. You're driving into Indiana. One of the first things you see is an old, broken-down haunted house. All due respect. It's not the nicest building you see coming into our city. I think that we can make it a lot nicer. We can look a lot more like what we did in Hessville with the Oxbow Landing, and I think that's a much better entrance to the state of Indiana. So all due respect to the family. I know that they're impacted by this. I know they sent you all letters. They sent me letters as well. But I do want you to know this is an important project for my administration and my economic development team, and I'm positive that we could make this worth 3-4 times what it's worth now, just like we did in Hessville. And last, I know you have an ordinance before you in regards to event spaces. I want to remind the council that we've been having problem with event spaces around the city. For instance, there's a couple locations in the city where it would be like an event space, and then they'd rent it out to somebody and they'd have party with drugs and alcohol and sometimes weapons. So this allows us to get better control with zoning and conditional use permits to get better control of these event spaces. So I appreciate you all working with us. Sorry about the long report. Again, condolences to the council. I can't remember a time that we've been grieving. I know we've grieved a lot in the Hammond Council over the years, but to have 2 grieving council people at the same time is unprecedented. So anyway, if you have any questions, I'm available.
Mayor
Yes, ma'am.
or Mr. President,
Yes.
I know you mentioned about police.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you thought about fire?
Yeah, I think about fire all the time.
So I'm just saying, because I know that with this change, that's going to be a question that's going to come
Well,
up. So-
I have to negotiate all contracts this year, Councilwoman. Police, fire, Teamsters, operating engineers, this is the year. And, I know that police and fire are usually the first ones we knock off. And we've already invited police to begin negotiations, which is sort of unprecedented, reaching out in the first week of January saying, let's get going. I anticipate, well, first off, let's be honest. I think police need to be realistic, as a lot of the problems we had, we've pretty much taken care of. We've raised starting pay for our officers by over 10%. So a lot of the heavy lifting that we were anticipating doing next year, we've done it already. So, and I do want to point out, I love the Hammond Police Department, and I love the Hammond Fire Department. But right now, we don't have firefighters quitting in droves. We have police officers quitting in droves. They're different jobs, and we have to do what we have to do. If I had an emergency situation in the fire department where we couldn't get a firefighter and keep them employed, and they were leaving us left and right, we would have to do something. That's where we are in police right now, Councilwoman. So we're just dealing with the problems that we have before us. But I do, appreciate the Hammond Fire Department, and we're going to be negotiating that contract as well. Did that answer your question, Councilwoman?
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions for the mayor?
Mr. President,
Yes.
Couple questions,
Okay.
if you please. First, the third and fourth quarter gaming distribution dollars, I have not received that. Has anybody received that report yet? Our third and fourth quarters? Maybe it's a question for Megan.
Yeah, probably. I don't prepare that myself,
Yeah.
but
So we usually are told we're getting it right after the quarters, so that we haven't
Yeah.
got it for the third quarter yet.
okay.
Of course, fourth quarter just ended. Wonder the status of that. And the second thing is just following up on the flooding event from the fall. I asked some questions last time we were here, and then I went back to State Rep Jackson, who said that really the process would begin with you asking for FEMA or the state to implement a process to have FEMA look at this. So I'm coming back to you to see, has the city requested anything yet?
We did through the state early on with everybody else. Haven't heard anything, so. But, I mean, I guess the bigger question is, Councilman Mark, unfortunately, we have basement backups in the city of Hammond every year. It is a fact. Every time we have a basement backup, are we going to call Washington DC? I guess that's the bigger question. I mean, shortly before we had a flood in the first district, I know Councilman Berry was dealing with devastation in the third district. I know year before that, my district got it. I personally feel that it's a stretch to call FEMA. That's how I personally feel. I think that when you have a basement backup, like my basement backed up, I didn't call Joe Biden. Well, it was Obama at that time, but I just think that.
My point is that how do we know whether we qualify for anything if we don't send it up the ladder and see?
Have you called anybody?
Oh, I think it's supposed to come from you.
Oh, okay. Well, so the answer to my question I asked you is, when we have basement backups, you think that we call FEMA every time? Because, I mean, maybe that's something you should bounce around on the council, because
I think 500.
like if a tornado tore through our city, devastating houses, yeah, you call FEMA on that, right? When you have a storm and you have basement backups, do you call FEMA? I don't know the answer to that. I don't see a city ordinance that tells me, but I don't feel it's appropriate personally. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's something the council should chew on. When do you call Joe Biden? Do we call him when we have a basement backup? Because we'll be calling every year. We'll be calling 2 or 3 times every year. That's something maybe you guys should talk about, Councilman.
Maybe so.
Okay.
So what I'm hearing then, we're not doing anything at this point in time.
I haven't heard anything, Councilman Mark. I mean, if this is that, I mean, I have a lot of things going, but like, maybe you should call. It's your district. I mean, maybe you should call. I mean, I know a lot of people are pointing out in Cal City, I want to point out Illinois, Democratic governor, Democratic U.S. senators, Democratic congressmen, Democratic city. Like, I haven't heard anything come from Indianapolis. I haven't heard anything. I don't know if it's because of state. I don't know.
I think it bears conversation among us then.
Sure.
Thank you.
Because we do have basement backups, unfortunately, once or twice a year. I bet you, I've been mayor 20 years. I don't know. Unfortunately, we've had a lot of basement backups. It's unfortunate. But I don't think that's anything new either. I mean, we've been having basement backups since my father was mayor.
Okay, any other questions for the mayor? Okay, thank you, Mayor.
Thanks, Councilman.
Excuse me. Next up on the agenda, approval of minutes.
President,
Councilman Spitali.
motion to accept the minutes from December 18th, 2023, be placed on file, please.
Second.
Been a motion and a second by Councilman Emerson. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Approval of claims.
Mr. President,
Yes, Councilwoman Vines.
yes, forgive me, I am unprepared for that. Hold on a second. Alrighty, I move for approval of claims dated December 29th, 2023, and ending with claims January 3rd, 2024, claim number 1 through claim number 191 in the amount of $7,265,284. I so move.
Second.
Been a motion and a second by Councilman Tyler. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call.
Alexander,
Yes.
Spitali,
Yes.
Vines,
Yes.
Kalwinski,
Yes.
Salinas,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yes.
Warple, Rakos.
Yes. Claims passes 8-4, 0 against, 1 absent. Next up on the agenda, public hearings.
$2335, an ordinance to further appropriate from the ARPA Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund for purposes that fulfill the intent of the American Rescue Plan Act, version 3.0.
Okay, could you read the second one too, and we'll do them together for the public hearing, please? Thank you.
2336, an ordinance vacating a 15-foot portion of alley lying between Sherman Street to the south and Summer Street to the north and west parcel line of Lot 42 to the east line of Lot 12, and the southeasternly 20 feet of Lot 42 in the second block of Steel Car Works Edition in the city of Hammond, Lake County, Indiana.
Okay, would anybody from the public like to come up and regarding the public hearings, 2335, ordinance 2335 and 2336?
Yes, sir. I'm Mike Miller, owner of 2030 Summer Street. And just wanted to tell you what we're going to do with it. We're working with Brian Poland of the city, and he asked us to re-subdivide our property when we bought it 20 years ago. It was incorrectly done, and he's asked us to clean that up, and we were working with him, and he asked us, and Councilman Tyler is sponsoring us to make these changes so we can get our subdivision plat survey fixed.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? Public hearings are closed. Communications. Anybody have communications?
Mr. President,
Yes, Councilman Tyler.
just want to submit a copy of the letter that we all got from the Haluska family regarding a property located at 626 177th Street in Hammond onto record. And I also want to announce that there is a meeting regarding the Memorial Park development this Thursday at 5:30 p.m. at the Affiliate Steam Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Tyler. Any other communications? Any other communications? Communications is closed. Committee reports. Councilwoman.
Mr. President.
Yes, Councilwoman Vines.
Yes, I would like to announce that there is only one Crime Watch meeting in the month of January. That is Thursday, January 18th, 6 p.m. at the Gene Shepherd Center, and that is the Hessville Crime Watch.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Any other committee reports? Committee reports are closed.
Mr. President.
Oh, I'm sorry, council as a whole, too?
Yes, council as a whole will be bringing out 2335 and 2336.
Thank you. Any other committee reports? Okay, any other committee reports? Committee reports is closed. Next up, number 10 on the agenda, ordinance, third reading, final passage.
2335, an ordinance to further appropriate from the ARPA Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund for purposes that fulfill the intent of the American Rescue Plan Act, version 3.0.
Mr. President,
Councilwoman Vines.
yes, I move for final passage of 2335.
Second.
Been a motion and a second by Councilman Spitali. Is there any discussion on 2335? Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call.
Alexander,
Yes.
Spitali,
Yes.
Vines,
Yes.
Kalwinski,
Yes.
Salinas,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yes.
Warple, Rakos.
Yes. Passes 8-0 and with one absent.
2336, an ordinance vacating a 15-foot portion of alley lying between Sherman Street to the south and Summer Street to the north and west parcel line of Lot 42 to the east line of Lot 12, and the southeasternly 20 feet of Lot 42 in the second block of Steel Car Works Edition in the city of Hammond, Lake County, Indiana.
Mr. President,
Councilman Tyler.
I move for third and final passage of ordinance 23-36.
Second.
Been a motion and a second by Councilwoman Alexander, 2336. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call.
Alexander,
Yes.
Spitali,
Yes.
Vines,
Yes.
Kelwinski,
Yes.
Salinas,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yes.
Warple, Rakos.
Yes. 2336 passes 8 yes, 0 no, and 1 absent. That concludes ordinance third and final passage, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Next up, 11, an introduction of ordinances.
24-01, an ordinance amending ordinance number 8514, being an ordinance establishing a zoning plan for the city of Hammond in order to provide for orderly growth and development within the city, all in accordance with the comprehensive land use plan for purposes of amending various titles to incorporate provisions for the definition and regulation of event spaces.
President,
Councilman Spitali.
move for first and second reading, refer to council as a whole. The meeting set for Monday, January 22nd, 2024 at 5:15.
Second.
Been a motion and a second by Councilman Tyler. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Alexander,
Yes.
Spitali,
Yes.
Vines,
Yes.
Kelwinski,
Yes.
Salinas,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yes.
Warple, Rakos.
Yes. Passes 8-0, 1 absent. Next up, 12 resolutions.
All right, 24R01. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Hammond, Indiana, approving Plan Commission Resolution PC 2023-01 as a written order and finding of fact approving Redevelopment Commission Resolution Number 2023-19 as an amending declaratory resolution that modified and amended the boundaries of the Gateways redevelopment area to include the River Drive North sub-area expansion area and approved an amendment to the redevelopment plan for the Gateways redevelopment area.
Mr. President,
Yeah, Councilman Tyler, we haven't had a motion yet. You wanna hold off? Okay.
Mr. President,
Yes, Councilman
I
Emerson.
move for final passage of 24R-01.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Spitali. Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes.
I move
Councilman.
before we take a final vote, we open the floor to the attendees who would like to speak connected to this resolution.
Second.
We have a motion to allow attendees to speak on this resolution. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilwoman Alexander. Any discussion on the amendment for the resolution?
Mr. President,
There's no discussion.
It's not up for discussion?
Just asking for speaking. Suspension of the rules, basically.
Asking for suspension of the rules, correct?
correct.
Okay. A roll call and suspension of the rules.
Alexander,
Yes.
Spitali,
Yes.
Vines,
Yes.
Kalwinski,
Yes.
Salinas,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yes.
Warple, Rakos.
Yes. Suspension of the rules passes 8-0 with one absent.
Invite.
So we'll allow you to come up to speak on this resolution. We ask that you limit your time especially if there's many people that want to speak on this.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you to all the council members. My name is John Haluska. I'm one of the owners of Haluska Enterprises. The other owners are my family members. They're here with me this evening. Councilwoman Alexander, at the pre-meeting, you had asked what happens to Reaper's Realm if this goes through. To answer your question, Reaper's Realm will be devastated. There will never be another Reaper's Realm. I'm sure of that, if this goes through. Probably, though, more important than that, it will devastate myself, my family, and my other family members. Mentally devastate us, financially devastate us. Without being involved in that property. And we've been there for 34 years. Contacted anybody from our business, anybody from our family, and said, this is what we're planning on doing. And this didn't just happen on December 21st. This has been in the plan stage for a while. But nobody showed us the courtesy of telling us anything about that. So what happens? We, of course, sign contracts. I signed a contract with Lamar Advertising for billboards the day before this article came out. I had no idea. I had no idea whatsoever. So now, what do we do with contracts that we've signed? We sign contracts for product. What do we do with all that? This is going to be devastating to us. I haven't had a decent night's sleep since I read this article. I'm asking that you please, we've been there for 34 years. That's a long time to be in the city of Hammond as a business. We pay over $100,000 in taxes every year. A very large portion of that goes to the state of Indiana for training to firefighters. We pay that every year. We've cooperated with the city of Hammond on every venture they've ever asked us to be in on, as I explained in that letter. I hope you all had a chance to read the letter. I'm asking you, please do not pass this ordinance. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but this ordinance doesn't take into account at all the personal devastation that will occur to my family. We've employed thousands of Hammond residents through the years. That employment opportunity will be gone. Once we're gone, it's gone. They won't be back, and many of them come back every year. And this isn't a minimum wage. This is a decent salary for every single one of them. We're asking you, please help us out. please do not pass this ordinance. And if you feel that you don't have any room not to pass it, I'm asking you to please at least table it for 3 years. Let us get out at a pace that will financially not devastate us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oleska. Anybody else? Anybody else like to speak? Anybody else? Have a motion to go back to the regular,
I'll make that motion.
So moved.
where was that? You guys second? Okay. Motion is second.
Got it.
Go back to regular order of business. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, we'll go back to the regular order of business, and we're still on discussion on 24R1.
Mr. President,
Yes, Councilman Emerson.
I would like to thank the Hammond Plan Commission, the Hammond Redevelopment Commission for their work in developing the River Drive North area expansion area. And I agree with the mayor. We had Madvex, White Castle, and the Philly State steak place that used to be Subway at 175th and Calumet. I think I see restaurants all over the city, basically, and I'm proud to say that it's time for 4th District to join the other parts of the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other discussion on 24R1? Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Roll call.
Alexander,
No.
Spitali,
This is just a resolution. Yeah.
Vines,
Yes.
Kelwinsky,
No.
Salinas,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yes.
Warple, Bracos,
Yes. Resolution 2401 passes 6 yes, 2 no, and 1 not present. Next up, new and unfinished business. We have several things we need to do on new and unfinished business. First up, a BZA board appointment. Councilman?
Mr. President,
Yes, Councilman Salinas.
I'd like to make an appointment to nominate Cynthia Jasso to the BZA Board.
Second.
Been a motion and a second for Cynthia Jasso, Jasso.
Jasso.
You've supplied all of us with her information, correct?
Information, correct?
Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Yes, Councilman.
I've worked at my other job with Cynthia for 20 years, and she is a fine person, and I think Councilman Salinas is doing well to appoint her. She was at our department back in the day, and she's been employed by the school city of Hammond for a long time, and I support her.
Thank you. This is for the Board of Zoning Appeals,
Yes,
commonly referred to as BZA, correct?
BZA.
All right. Any other discussion?
President,
Yes.
are you on item number 12?
New and unfinished.
No, not finished.
Yes. Hold on, let's take care of one first.
Okay.
All right.
Me.
So any other discussion on the appointment of Cynthia Jasso for BZA? Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call.
Alexander?
Yes.
Spitali?
Yes.
Vines?
Yes.
Kalwinski?
Yes.
Salinas?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Emerson?
Yes.
Warple? Rakos?
Yes. Passes 8 yes, 0 no, and 1 absent.
Thank you.
Councilman Spitali, would you like to present?
Yeah, make a motion to reappoint Councilwoman Janet Vines to serve on the Hass School Board. This is a 3-year term, and Janet has served on the past for 9 years.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Emerson. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call?
Alexander?
Yes.
Spitali?
Yes.
Vines?
Yes.
Kalwinski?
Yes.
Salinas?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Emerson?
Yes.
Warple? Rakos?
Yes. Passes 8-0, 1 absent.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Janet. Next up, Gaming Advisory Board. We have 3, 2 have already been appointed by us. We have 3 other appointments. And the ones who have signed up is Katrina Alexander, Janet Vines, and Scott Rakos, or Councilman. Do I have a motion to accept those 3?
I make a motion to accept.
Second.
Been a motion by Councilman Tyler and a second by Councilman Salinas. Any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call?
Alexander?
Yes.
Spitali?
Yes.
Vines?
Yes.
Kalwinski?
Yes.
Salinas?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yes.
Emerson?
Yes.
Warple? Rakos?
Yes. Passes 8-0, 1 absent. Our other appointment that needs to be made is for the Capital Improvements Board. We have 4 people that put in for it, 4 councilmen, and there's 3 position openings. So unless somebody wants to pull their name, we will have an election. I have ballots made here. You can pick 3, and then we'll collect the ballots and we'll have the clerk. Tally the. Do I have a motion?
Mr. President.
Do I have a motion to approve this?
Mr. President,
Yes, Councilwoman Vines.
who are the 4 candidates?
Rakos, Kowinski, Salinas, and Emerson.
Thank you.
If we're going to do a ballot situation, we'll have to do it electronically with you, Councilwoman Vines. You can text me, and I will pass my text message on to the clerk. If that's agreeable
Thank you.
to the council. So do I need a motion for this procedure, or should I pass these out?
I don't believe you need a motion. I think you can just pass them out.
Hold on a second. Fold them up and either give them to the clerk or give them to me, and I'll pass them to the clerk. Either way. Has everybody turned in their ballots? Had to come up with something, right?
Right.
Had to do something, right?
Practical.
First off, are there any ties?
There is a tie. We have 7 votes for Rakos, 7 votes for Emerson, 5 votes for Salinas, and 4 votes for Kelwinski.
Okay.
So it would be Rakos, Salinas, Emerson.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept the Capital Improvements Board, Rakos, Salinas, and Emerson?
So move.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? I'm sorry, I did roll call and everything else, I'm sorry. Roll call.
Alexander,
Yes.
Spitali,
Yes.
Vines,
Yes.
Kelwinski,
Yes.
Salinas,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Emerson,
Yes.
Warple, Rakos.
Yes. Passes 8-0, 1 absent. We'll have to contact Dean, find out when the next meeting is. Any other new and unfinished business? Any other new and unfinished business? Any other new and unfinished business? New and unfinished business is closed. Public expression. George Stoya. Thank you, George. TJ. Someday I'll figure out how to say your last name.
It's Gertig. Thank you. Good evening, council members. Just because I did not hear it mentioned, I wanted to bring up for our new councilman, and congratulations, a brief summary of the Governor's Parkway Development Plan in Briar East Woods. So the city of Hammond wants to build a bridge to get over stopped trains in Hessville. They plan to build it through the Briar East Woods, destroying the unique topography within and acres of forest. This project would create a winding, sprawling bridge that would destroy one of the last natural areas in Hammond. This would make the problem of flooding even worse in Hammond, though we see the city will take no responsibility for overstretching the sewer system even further. The mayor has repeatedly said that the reason they are going for this plan instead of other proposals is because of cost. He said it at multiple different meetings. In 2019, it was estimated to cost $11.6 million, and plus now an additional $5 million for a pedestrian bridge, bringing the total to $16.6 million, which has increased by even more millions since 2019. There was an alternative route looked into by INDOT, and it was presented at the INDOT public hearing in April. It is an overpass at Grand Avenue. It's better for school kids crossing to get to school. It's better for emergency vehicle response time because it leaves open Parish Avenue. And it costs $8.4 million, which is half of the route that the city is going right now. So I encourage, if the goal is cost savings, there is an option on Grand Avenue that doesn't destroy a forest, costs half as much, does not flood, is better for school kids, is better for emergency response times. Please look into it. Please, please, please. Thank you.
Thank you, TJ. Anybody else like to speak? Anybody else like to speak from Zoom?
No, I'm just here for a short while. Name's John Chapsky. Live at 6435 Ohio Avenue. Want to welcome the committee and everyone. Happy New Year. I wish the mayor didn't say goodbye. Maybe he had to work out that the old Y, but I was going to congratulate him for 20 years of 24 meetings. So that's a total of 480, and tonight would have been 481. But again, I just here to ask the council and the mayor, City of Hammond, if they can put a disability handicap sign in front of the house to be installed at the 6435 Ohio Avenue, City of Hammond, State of Indiana address. That's all we're asking.
Okay. There's a
All right.
set procedure for that. We'll talk, somebody will talk to you after the meeting.
All right, thank you.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?